Hey guys, what's up? This is Brett. Welcome to this week's episode of Friday on the Turntable. I'm here to discuss the brand new Mazzy Star album, Seasons of Your Day. Their first album in 17 years and a very welcomed return. For those of you guys unfamiliar with Mazzy Star, and those of you that didn't grow up in the MTV generation, they were most known for their song Fade Into You, which came out in 1993 on the So Tonight That I Might See album. And the band put out another album after that in 1996, Among My Swan, and then it pretty much been on a hiatus for well over a decade and a half. They got back together and been doing some live dates. They played at Coachella. And in 2011, they released a prequel to this album with a 7-inch single for two of the tracks, Common Burn and Lay Myself Down. And both this and the new album are on the Rhymes of an Hour, the band's own record label. I'll pull this one out because it's a nice little piece to show. It's on this little baby blue vinyl. Common Burn, Lay Myself Down, they both appear on the new album. But like I said, 17 years since the last one. For those of you unfamiliar with Mazzy Star and their sound, you know, I've always kind of described them as if you were to take the Velvet Underground and maybe a song like I'll Be Your Mirror and you put Patsy Cline on vocals, in a way, a darker Patsy Cline, you kind of have an idea of Mazzy Star. Acoustic guitars, harmonica, some organ, and it's just great music. And what's really interesting about this album is that although it's 17 years after their last one, and the distance between this album and the last one was, you know, triple the amount of time that the band lasted in their original run, and it sounds as if it just came right after the last one, because their sound, they're not a band that feels the need to constantly reinvent themselves with the next album. It's just an exact transition from album to album where it's it's immediately recognizable at Mazzy Star. There's no additional elements that I think, what do they do here? It's Mazzy Star all the way. It's uncomplicated music, it's simple chord changes, and it's just a testament to how great music can be written over real simplistic chord progressions, and empty space and silence is just as important as sound and complexity. Great band, one of my favorite bands. So let's get started here. I'm going to show you the vinyl release of it, as you saw the cover here. Also available on CD and digital, of course. So this is it here. It's a gatefold, a 2-record set. I am a huge cat lover, and so to have a cat on the cover, this is just phenomenal. There's the back cover. It's, like I said, it's through their own label, but it's distributed through Fontana. So we got a gatefold with a picture of Hope and David in there. And 2 records on beautiful purple vinyl. Just really nice. And then to top it off, there is a download card in there, which is a custom little one, not just some little sheet of paper. It looks like a little actual card that replicates the artwork. So very cool to have that. And if you guys watched last week's video where I talked about Placebo, and I showed you that one single record and the price on it, the price tag on this one was $22.99 for at the store that I went to, and that was, like I said, 2 records, colored vinyl, download card. Really a fair price. All right, so this album continues with the original lineup of Mazzy Star. So you have David Roback on guitars, Hope Sandoval on vocals. You have Keith Mitchell, the original drummer, Suki Ewers on keyboards, and then you also have on violin you have William Cooper, who also played in some of the earlier bands with David Roback, which I'm going to get to in a bit. So please stick around towards the end of the video, and I'm going to show some more other items in the Mazzy Star related catalog that I want you guys to check out if you're unfamiliar with it. And then it has some guests on it. It has Colm from My Bloody Valentine, the drummer, who also worked with Hope Sandoval on her second solo record, Through the Devil Softly. And then it has the late Bert Jansch on guitar on one of the tracks as well, folk guitar player, singer. So what's immediately distinct about the album, besides it just sounding like a Mazzy Star record, is that there is a sense of, no pun intended, a sense of more hopefulness in the vocals. There's, to say happy is kind of generic because Mazzy Star isn't a band that evokes the feelings of happiness. But there is a sense of hopefulness in the vocal parts, and I think that transcends throughout the album. The opening track in the Kingdom. Let me just make sure I got the title right. In the Kingdom, there's a keyboard and organ part in there, and it's just the rhythm and the melody of that keyboard part instantly. The second I dropped the needle on this one, I thought of Bob Marley's "No Woman, No Cry." Dun, 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 dun. Just very reminiscent of it. So let me talk about some of my favorite tracks here. I've got to stop the third track, and one of probably my favorite songs on the album is the title track, Seasons of Your Day, which has violin from William Cooper, the late William Cooper, who actually passed away in 2001. So which tells you that this album was recorded over a long span of time, and from what I understand, it was recorded over the last 15 years. So the band was actually intermittently working on this record since 1997. So William Cooper's violin parts were obviously put down before, in sometime in the late 90s, early 2000s. But he had played in Rain Parade back with David Roback in the early mid 80s. And that track is just outstanding. Another highlight is Lay Myself Down, which starts with just a nice, almost like a country folk open chord progression, and the drums kick in, and there's just some great slide guitar on that one. Sparrow is another just a great track. It would have fit in really nicely actually on Hope's first solo album, Bavarian Fruit Bread. It has some common ground with that. And towards the middle part of the song, there's an element that kind of sneaks in there that is, been absent from other Mazzy Star albums, and it's this little, what sounds to be like a harpsichord melody comes in, and that for me, when that came in, the first time I listened to this album, I was doing something, and then when that little melody kicked in, my ears just jumped, and just really was drawn into that little texture that's in there. Let me see if there was any other tracks I wanted to discuss. The song Spoon, like I said, has Bert Jansch on it, who plays some slide guitar, which brings almost a Robert Johnson and almost an old school blues acoustic element in there. And you got the harmonica that Hope often plays, just textures, keyboards, organs, just very subtle drums with some cool percussion on some tracks by Keith Mitchell. And overall, it was well worth the 17 years for this album to come out. And from what I understand, the band recorded over those 15 years a lot of material, so I'm hoping that we're going to see some other output come out. The band is currently going to be on tour in November in the US. I think they're doing around 15 dates, so be sure to check them out. And if you're new to Mazzy Star, I would start right off with this one. I don't think this is a bad entry at all. Like I said, the sound is very consistent from the beginning to this album over the last, 23 years since their debut. So there is it would be a great place to jump in. Highly recommend grabbing the vinyl if you can. I don't imagine this will stay in print very long. It's a beautiful piece, and definitely needs to be in your collection. So let's talk a little bit more about kind of the history of Mazzy Star, and I want to show you some other items that in the collection that I would have recommended to you. So as I mentioned before, David Roback's kind of first band that was known was the Rain Parade, and I did a feature on this a couple months back. This is a band that he had with his brother Steven, part of the Paisley Underground scene, Los Angeles. Excellent release, highly recommend that. Carolyn's song was done by, was covered by This Mortal Coil, the 4AD band with featuring Ivo Watts Russell, and just a great song. So after he left Rain Parade, he went on to form a band called Opel, and I have my beat up copy here of Opel, which was a band with Kendra Smith, who later appeared as a solo artist on 4AD. So this is Happy Nightmare Baby. And as they were on tour for this album, Kendra Smith left the band. And, well, they were first called Clay Allison, and then they changed their name to Opel. So while they were on tour for this album, Kendra Smith left the band and was replaced by Hope Sandoval. The band, when they went to record their second album, they changed their name to Mazzy Star, and then we have She Hangs Brightly. So, and this is their first one. This is kind of when I became aware of them with the video on MTV for the song Holla, which is the opening track on this one. Highly recommended that. Their second album, So Tonight That I Might See, highly recommend that. Their third album, Among My Swan, also excellent. Highly recommend all of these. And then also Hope's 2 solo records, Bavarian Fruit Bread, which is a cover of the Jesus and Mary Chain song Drop, and her most recent one from 2009, Through the Devil Softly. Not as good as Bavarian Fruit Bread, but still excellent. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. No, I think that covers everything. So guys, Mazzy Star, Seasons of Your Day, do it. Talk to you guys soon.